What's up, Pilgrim? Hope you're having an amazing day. Of course, it's Matty Mills, and today I want to share with you something that is very spicy, okay? Now, fair warning, if you use this formula, you could potentially get banned from TV, get banned from the internet, get completely ostracized from society, so you need to be careful with this, okay? I want you to use this formula for good and not for evil, all right? That's how powerful what I'm about to tell you is, all right? With that said, I want to crack into this formula, okay? So this is actually a formula that other people have given to me, and I've actually just added my own little flair to it over the years, but I call this copywriting formula the PASTA, okay? Or just PASTA in general. And it's basically just, PASTA is an acronym for 5 different things, which I'm about to talk to you about, all right? But when I was first learning copywriting, someone told me about this unique formula that they were using, and they called it like Code Phoenix. And I'm like, yo, Code Phoenix, that sounds amazing, right? It's like Phoenix rising from the ashes, dude. Tell me more about that. And they showed me it, and I'm like, okay, this is a very solid formula. And over the years, I've used this for all sorts of sales letters that I write. Whenever I write a webinar for someone else and create a slide deck, I'm going to use this formula. If I were to write a blog article, if I were to come up with news or propaganda, I'd probably use this formula. This is how well what I'm about to tell you works, okay? So let's dive deep into my PASTA formula, all right? So first of all, let's start with the letter P, okay? So P stands for problem, all right? If you're selling something, a service or a product, you need to focus on the problem that your customer is having, okay? You need to introduce that problem. You've probably seen all sorts of ads over the years where it's like, hey, do you have this problem? I know Chris Rock used to have this joke that he would do in one of his stand-up where he's like, hey, do you get up in the morning and go to bed at night? And people are like, yeah, I got that, all right? So that's essentially what you need to do, right? If people are losing their hair, be like, hey, are you losing your hair? People are overweight, it's like, hey, are you overweight? People aren't getting enough sleep, it's like, hey, are you not getting enough sleep? Are you staying up too late at night? Are you feeling tired all the time? People are like, yeah. So all you do by doing that and introducing and asking a question and talking about that problem is you're getting people to identify with that problem, all right? And a lot of people, they probably already have that problem. They're probably problem aware. They know that there's something wrong with them and they need that solution, right? So if you come to them first of all and you're like, hey, do you have this problem? Do you have a house and it's completely run down and dilapidated and there's water leaking through the roof when it rains? You're like, yeah, that's me. And it's like, cool. And then what I would do, step number 2 in the PASTA formula is the letter A. A stands for agitate. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to agitate that problem. I'm basically going to dimensionalize and show them how bad that problem is. One way I do this is I use statistics a lot. I might tell the story of someone who has that same problem. You might have seen a lot of ads over the last few years, right? Specifically explainer videos where it's like, meet Mike. Mike is a regular dude, but he doesn't know how to build a website. So that's what I would do, right? I would basically, use that person as an example, right? And agitate that problem, right? So again, let's say someone has a leaky roof, all right? I'm gonna be like, hey, do you have a leaky roof? Step 1, P, and they're gonna be like, yeah, man, I do have that problem. I'm like, okay, is the leaky roof causing you to stay up late? Is it causing you to your basement to flood at the same time because all that water is getting inside? Does it get colder at night? Is your wife complaining about it? Are your kids getting sick because of that leaky roof? And you're like, yeah, man, I do. All right. So again, I'm going to ask that one question with the problem, but then I'm really going to agitate that problem, right? I'm going to show that person how bad that problem truly is. And again, they're probably already having that problem. They know about all the way that I'm agitating it, right? Again, I'm gonna meet them with that conversation they're already having in their head. They're already thinking about this stuff. So I'm just gonna be like, hey, are you thinking this stuff now? And they're like, yeah, man, I am thinking that stuff. I'm like, cool, man. So that's essentially what I do. Now, a lot of marketers, what they'll do is they'll actually use this step and they call this step twisting the knife, okay? And when I hear that, I'm kind of like, all right, that sounds kind of sketchy. People already don't like marketers as it is, so why even talk about that stuff? But again, I want you to use this formula for good and not for evil. So you can think about this in a very malicious way and be like, yeah, I'm twisting the knife. That person has a problem and I'm gonna twist the knife and I'm gonna make them bleed a little bit more. So you can do that a little bit, right? So agitating the problem, again, I want you to do this in an ethical way. Never lie about the problem. Never use statistics in a manipulative way to make people believe one thing that truly isn't, okay? And you can do this with statistics extremely easily, right? People who, like me, who understand raw data and understand how to manipulate the data to make it tell a story, I can do that, right? I've had a lot of people that have asked me to do that, but I've in a lot of cases been like, no, I'm not gonna do that, we're gonna do it my way, and they're usually like, yeah, okay, and they back off. But I know that stuff works really well, okay? But once you've actually told the person about that problem, and they have that problem, and then you've really agitated it, right? You've got their attention, and now you actually got them interested in what you're saying. Then what I would do is, when they really are feeling like, yeah, man, I have that problem, it's really bad, like it's making me, it's giving me FUD, man, it's making me fearful, it's making me uncertain, it's putting me in doubt, I'm scared, I'm lonely, I'm sick, like, and they're in that negative vibration, what I call low vibration energy. Then what I want to do is, I want to bring them to high vibration energy. So I introduce part number 3, letter S in the PASTA formula, which stands for solution, all right? And the solution, of course, is always the product that I'm trying to sell, right? I can't sell that solution to that product if I haven't done those 2 prior steps, right? It's kind of like prerequisite work to have that problem. And again, this goes back even further to really understanding your avatar, understanding their psychographics, understanding that problem better than they can explain it themselves. If you can do that in the first 2 steps, introducing your product is going to be a lot easier, all right? So this is where you can actually start to talk about your problem, right? I see so many people out there where they just lead with their product first, right? You don't want to lead with your product first. You want to lead with the problem first, and then bring it back to how your product solves that specific problem, all right? So when it comes to the solution, though, and talking about your product, this is really where you brag about how awesome your product, right? You want to highlight all the features and the benefits of your product and service. So again, going back to that leaky roof example, it's like, hey, you got a leaky roof? Yeah, man, I got a leaky roof. Is it keeping you up at night? Is it colder in your house? Is it flooding your basement? Is it causing you to basically get into arguments all the time with your wife because she's like nagging you and she's like, Steve, you need to fix the roof. And you're like, okay, what do I need to do, all right? Well, guess what? We got this awesome roofing service, baby. We're gonna come by on your own time. We're gonna give you a free quotation, okay? So we're gonna come by, gonna give you a free quotation. Dude that comes by is like the most friendly and helpful person you've ever met, all right? He speaks 8 languages at the same time, so even if English isn't your first language, dude is so helpful. He's gonna listen to you. He's not pushy whatsoever. He's gonna come by. He's gonna take a look at your roof on the house. He's gonna give you some options. He's gonna find a solution and a price point that fits your budget, all right? And if it doesn't fit it, you know what? No questions asked. We're gonna leave you alone. We're not like those other roofing companies you've seen of that just seen who just harass you to death and force you to use their products, right? So this is what makes us better than the other roofers. So if that's you, then you know what? Get in touch with us, right? So that's kind of what you want to do, right? You want to paint your product in the best light, right? You want to highlight how you're different from your competition, right? You want to compliment how you're better, how you're the best option, right? How your pricing fits your specific, the person you're targeting, how it fits their budget. And by doing so, again, you're leading with the problem. You can easily tie that back to your specific product, all right? So again, never, whenever you're writing a sales letter or an ad or whatever it is, never start with your product, right? People who actually start with their product, it's like such a disservice to themselves, and they're just throwing away their money completely, right? In some cases that you can get away with it on the flip side, on the reversal. And this is when the customer already knows about the problem so in depth that they have, and they're actively researching you. And again, then you can just talk about we. Whenever I see people and it's like we do this in their copywriting, whenever their mission statement is like we do this, I'm already like, okay, like as soon as I see the first word is we, which is so many websites I see out there, whenever I see we help or we do this specific thing for people and we offer this service, I'm like, no. You need to focus on the customer, right? You need to focus on you with your copywriting. Like focus on that customer extremely in depth. And again, that way if they are searching out for that specific thing, they find your solution, great, that might work, but I would really just focus on their problem and then again, bring it back to your product. Now, letter number 4 in the PASTA formula is the letter T, and T stands for testimonial, all right? So I love to use testimonials as kind of like a social proof. And what I do is I'm going to show examples of other happy customers that have actually used that product or service and how it's done basically exactly what I said and then some, right? I'm going to show like, hey, there was this guy, John, and you know what? John had a leaky roof and his wife was nagging about it and his basement was leaking and his kids weren't sleeping and his grandmother was getting angry because she had to sleep on this mattress in the basement while she was floating around at night. And essentially what I would do is I'll be like, hey, but you know what? And then Doug found out about, awesome, amazing roofers.co. and he got in touch with us. We gave him a free consultation. He was very skeptical at first, but you know what? He went ahead with the work, and he's so happy now. In fact, let's show what Doug has to actually say about that. And they'd have a thing, and Doug would be like, hey, so I'm Doug, and I had a leaky roof, and it was getting into my basement, and you know what? I was very skeptical using awesomeamazingroofers.co, but you know what? I called them up. They came by, super friendly, gave me actually was less expensive than I thought it would be. They did the roof. It was high quality work, and they gave me a warranty with it, and I'm super happy. So if you're out there and you're thinking like, hey man, should I use awesomeamazingroofersco.co? Doug says, yeah, go ahead and use them. So that's what I do, right? And I would use those with testimonials, right? If you have no testimonials, it's gonna be a little bit trickier. You can still get away with it, to be honest, but man, when you have social proof, like you can brag about how awesome your product and service is all you want, but when you have other people out there bragging about how awesome you are, dude, this makes it so much easier to persuade that person, right? It's one of the things that Robert Cialdini talks about with his social proof section, right? Where essentially it's hard to sell to one person, but it's easier to sell to many people, right? If you have something and there's already like 10, 15, 20 examples of people who have already used that service and are extremely happy with it and got that specific result and actually solved that problem under that person's budget and they over-delivered, then that person's gonna be like, well, like, I guess I have to buy that service, right? And what you can do is too, I don't just use one testimonial, man. Like, you used to be able to just use one testimonial. Now I find like you have to use like minimum 3, like minimum 3. I honestly use 5 to 10 to 25 in some cases now. And the reason for this is people might see one testimonial, the person doesn't look like them, right? Second one, person doesn't look like them. Third doesn't look like them. But then somewhere like testimonial 19, they see some dude who like a dude named Doug who's like some southerner who's like, I don't know, a boomer probably. Let's say he's like 61 years old and lives in the middle of Missouri, and they see that guy and Doug is watching Doug. He's basically watching himself. It's like a done deal at that point. He's like, oh, it worked for that guy who looks exactly like me. Cool, must work for me too. Cool, let me call up Awesome Amazing Roofers Co. and get that roof done right away, right? So again, the more testimonials you can have, there's kind of a point too where like, I don't know, man, if someone sees 100 testimonials and they're still not gonna buy your product, chances are, dude, like they're never gonna buy your product as it is. I don't even try and sell those people at the point. I'm like, all right, cool, like moving on to the next person. And then I show that person like one testimonial and they're like ready to buy. There's just kind of a point again where it's like, okay, if they're not gonna buy at that point, I'm not gonna waste my time trying to continue to sell to that person, all right? Now, we have one last step in the pasta formula, okay? I know this has been very spicy and you're learning this super, super sexy, super duper formula that I've used for all sorts of copywriting that has made a lot of people a lot of money and made me a lot of money. So last step in this is the call to action. Okay, so I use A stands for action, more so call to action. So in any marketing message or any kind of maybe political messaging you've seen, you need to have that call to action at the end, right? Any great speech you've ever seen, if you ever watch TED Talks like I do, there's always kind of that main gist of what they're talking about, right? There's always kind of like, you know, that story behind everything, but then, you know, there's something that they want them to do, right? So that's when you have to have your call to action at the end of that, right? So again, I talked about Amazing Awesome Roofers Co. And basically with that, at the end of my sales message, again, I've shown them the problem that, you know, ask them, hey, do you have a leaky roof? They're like, yeah. Hey, does your leaky roof cause these negative emotions? Yeah, it does do that. Hey, you know what? We have this awesome service and here's how awesome our service is. Cool. But you know what? It didn't just work for us. It worked for all these 30 people. Okay, cool. So you know what? We've shown you this. Now what we want you to do is, we want you to give us a call at, you know, 1-888-555-5555. Basically just, you know, give us a call and we'll come by and give you a consultation on our own time, right? Same thing at the end of the webinar, right? I have a call to action, right? I'll go through my whole webinar thing, go through the stack, and it's like, hey, you know what you need to do is right now, you need to go to awesomeamazingroofingco.com, order this package. It's only $2,000 and, you know, basically go there right now, right? Go to that website right now. Again, I'm giving them a call to action. I'm telling them to do something, right? If you've ever seen propaganda over the years, it's the same kind of thing, right? I think there's like a formula that they use where it's like something like problem, what is it? It's like problem, a problem, reaction, solution. It's very similar to mine, but again, I add those other things. I perfected their own propaganda messages that they've used in all these governments have used throughout the years to convince people to do some crazy stuff. But again, there's always a call to action at the end of your marketing message, right? If you're not telling people to do something, it's very difficult, right? Even looking at the classic AIDA formula that a lot of people use, right? Which is, I think it's like attention, interest, desire, action. It's the same kind of thing, right? There's always something that I want them to do at the end of that, whether that's call a phone number, whether that's visit a website, whether that's click on a button to go to the sales letter, whether it's to click on that ad, whether it's to view a video. There's always a specific thing at the end of my sales letter or my webinar or my ad that I want that specific person to do, right? You need to think with the end in mind, by the way, when you're actually coming up with the stuff. One of my favorite courses that I ever took was from this dude, I think his name is John Childers, and he has this program called Childers Chunks. And when he's talking to you about the specific formula that he uses, he basically goes way back to the end of what he thinks. He's like, okay, you need to think with the end in mind, right? You need to think of what that call to action and what that offer is going to be, right? You need to present your offer. And then again, you need to have that strong call to action at the end of your whole thing, okay? So that's kind of the gist of my PASTA formula. Again, P stands for problem, A stands for, I completely forgot what it was. P stands for problem, A stands for agitate, S stands for solution, T for testimonial, A for action, as in call to action. So that's kind of my spicy PASTA formula that I've used. And man, this formula is not that difficult. Again, I've charged people just to tell them this specific formula. So you're watching this on a YouTube video, dude, like you should feel super entitled that you actually learned this formula that I had to pay for and that other people have had to pay for, right? If you can take this one formula and use this in your ads, in your sales messages, like you're just gonna do so much better than your competition because again, you're following the steps in a very kind of logical way and leading people in the right direction with your specific marketing message, okay? So you know what? I gave you all my stuff. Now I'm gonna have a call to action to you, okay? I want you to like this video. I want you to leave a comment below if you've actually heard of this magical PASTA formula before. And then you know what? Consider subscribing to this channel, maybe even hitting that bell notification so that you're notified every single time that your boy Matty Mills drops a new video for you. On that note, I'm gonna get out of here. And I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I want you to be blessed, and I want you to be grateful. Have yourself a great day.